Dear learners, welcome to this session in which we would be discussing different types of NGOs and how they exist, and we will take certain examples related to the rural sector and the farming sector. The basic thing in this is that there are certain self-help groups also associated which act as NGOs and which act as link with NGOs. And we all know that non-governmental organizations or NGOs, we call them, they are free from the government interventions and they have lot of freedom to work for certain welfare and development issues. There are certain classifications given by number of researchers and experts. But here we would be dealing with only one classification which is widely accepted and known for people around who are working in the NGO sector and who are associated with NGOs in some way or the other. So, when we start with the classification of NGOs, it is important to understand what are the types of NGOs, and there are so many creative names to NGOs. Because NGO is considered to be quite a creative and innovative community as well. So, that is why I specifically took certain names where you would find that it is so interesting to understand the concept, because this particular concept, these acronyms and these abbreviations, they will help you understand the classification which we would be studying in the next few slides. So, when we say NGO is quite a creative community, we will start with a name called bingo. So, usually bingo is a slang and it is used for saying go ahead, it is like it is fine. So, in this case it is the business friendly international NGOs. B for business, I for international, and NGO of course is NGO, non-governmental organization. For example, Red Cross Society, this is a society, but it is specifically business friendly because it is associated with the corporates around the globe. So, it is business friendly international NGOs. And if we take the name of ENGO, these are the environmental NGOs like Greenpeace and World Wildlife Fund, which work for the cause of environment, for protecting the environment. So, environmental NGOs, they also come, this ENGO kinds of NGOs, they also come under the agricultural sector. Like Greenpeace organization, it works quite extensively for the welfare of the farmers around the world, specifically in the areas where they do not have so much of amenities or so much of privileges. When we talk about GONGO, it is a government organized non-governmental organization or NGO. It is like government organized NGO. For example, International Union for Conservation of Nature. This is again an environmental NGO, but it specifically works for the conservation of nature, and it is organized, or it is the inception of such kind of NGOs is done through the government. Though they do not have the intervention of government much, but they are being formulated by government. When we see DONGO, these are donor organized non-governmental organizations which solely depend on the funding through donors, and the donors, they create such kind of NGOs. Then we have the INGOs, these are the international NGOs like Oxfam, they are applicable, or they are working around the globes. There are certain foundations like like Gates Foundation. So, they work throughout the globe in certain sectors where the underprivileged or distressed society is there for the welfare and development of those societies. So, these are some names. There are many such names existing to explain different types of NGOs. So, this is just a concept. I mean, you can take it as a creative concept of NGOs. But when we talk about the specific classification related to NGOs, we move on to the other type of classification, which is based on the World Bank's. When we talk about the classification of NGOs based on the World Bank's classification, the operational NGOs, they basically focus on the development projects, and advocacy NGOs, they promote specific causes and they work for the rights of the individuals or the communities. Most of the NGOs, they have both the concepts. It is not necessary that each NGO only works for operational issues and or exclusively works for advocacy issues. They can have the combination of the both. So that is why we do classify the NGOs, but it is not necessary that this classification exists with each an NGO, and each NGO exclusively works for certain causes or only for operational issues. Now when we talk about the operational issues, the operational or these are popularly known as grassroots NGOs, and they can be divided into three categories. The first one is the charity and welfare NGOs, then you have the development NGOs, and the third one is the social action groups. The charity and welfare NGOs, these are usually the foundations who are working for the welfare of the children, elderly, downtrodden women, poor people, and they are charitable trusts. So we have certain foundations like Azim Premji Foundation for Education, as I said that Gates Foundation that works for the people of the poor, children for the poor community for their education, and they work for certain causes in the rural sector also. There are development NGOs. The development NGOs, they work for the development of the poor or the distressed or the underprivileged groups in the society. In development NGOs, mostly the NGOs related to the development of the farmers, they are taken into consideration. And there are NGOs which are the social action groups, and social action groups, they can be related to the advocacy part also. The social action group is quite important because they work for a social cause, and they work for certain causes like the agitations happened where the farmers, many farmers in Maharashtra and some parts of Madhya Pradesh, you must have heard that due to certain problems in the farming area and the financial issues, they took their own lives. And these social action groups, they work for their welfares, for counseling and development of the farming group. So these are the operational NGOs, and you would find that no NGO comes under one specific category. They can be having charity programs. They also work for development programs, and they also act as social action groups. So it is not necessary that it has to be bifurcated into certain parameters that this NGO is meant only for this. There are NGOs or the non-government organizations who only work for specific issues, that is okay, but it is not necessary for the NGOs to have specific type. They can work for any cause because these are voluntary organizations. People are committed towards certain cause, people work on their own. So it is not necessary that they are bound by certain rules that this NGO has to be of this type. So these are the operational NGOs, or what we call as grassroots NGOs. Under this category, we will just explain what are the grassroots NGOs and what are the different other categories which come under the operational NGOs. The broad category has been divided as charity and welfare, development and social action groups, but there are subcategories also. We would discuss these categories one by one. When we talk about the grassroots development organizations, they actually work with the community, directly with the community. They may work in small ways like balwadis, anganwadis, and if you see the example here, there is a horticulture wadi development program also in places like in the rural villages. They receive funds through the governments or the charities. Now in this case you see the grassroots are connected to the charitable organizations also. The grassroots NGOs, they are connected to the government organizations also. So it is a link between the two. So the environment describes that what kind of NGO it is. But there is a link between the NGOs and the society in different forms. They are not necessarily operating in rural areas. They can be operating in cities also, in metros also, but they are linked to the rural groups. And if you see the grassroots development organizations, I had taken this example earlier also in self-help groups. These self-help groups, they act as NGOs also. This Self-Employed Women's Association, SEWA, it is located in a big town, Ahmedabad, but it works for the welfare of the women. It works for the welfare of the underprivileged women and provide them the skills to earn their living, to have the self-worth and to be productive in nature. So there are certain self-help groups which are working as NGOs and they are grassroots development organizations. If you see, there are so many organizations like Tarun Bharat Sangh, then you have Mazdoor Kisan Shakti Sangathan, then you have ASHA workers also. And ASHA, if you see the ASHA workers, they work in small villages, small towns, and they make the women aware of certain women issues. So these are certain examples of the grassroots organization, and one very good example, the recent development, is the Haritika NGO, which is helping the poor farmers, and it is related to watershed organization, water conservation, plantation, providing seeds to the farmers. So it is working in a massive way to provide the benefit to the underprivileged society. There are another type of operational NGOs like relief and welfare agencies, and these relief and welfare agency, usually they work under during the uncertain circumstances. Like relief and welfare agencies are working and they are fighting against the emergencies of COVID-19 also. So there are certain NGOs who are working for the relief and welfare of the people suffering from certain natural disasters or calamities like flood, like drought, like earthquake, and they provide facilities, certain facilities like shelter. Now if you are moved from your home to some other rehabilitation shelter, so you need certain facilities, and during the natural calamities, these kind of situations, they occur a lot. So in that case, these relief and welfare agencies, they do provide certain facilities. They do work for the development also, apart from welfare, they also work for the development part. They work for the education sector, they work for health, they work for drinking water and other essential services. And for example, there are many charitable organizations like and societies like Catholic Relief Services, you have Red Cross and missionary societies. Most of the missionary societies, they work for the relief and welfare of the communities, underprivileged communities. Then you have Ram Krishna Mission also, who is working, which is working for the welfare of the poor. So these are the relief and welfare agencies which also come under the operational NGOs, because operation is required in this thing. Then you have technical and innovation organizations. In the present times, if you just go back in the past 1 decade, these kind of NGOs have boomed up and they are providing immense service to the communities and the underprivileged. A very good example is of the NGO which is located in Delhi, but it is working for the poor and the which is providing the health kits like sanitary napkins, etc., to the rural masses in and around NCR, like Gunj. So that is the innovative organization. They operate their own project to pioneer new or improved approaches to problem. So they are innovative in nature and they work in innovative ways, like International Aga Khan Foundation, like Grameen Bank. It started with a concept of microfinance and it has become a big movement of self-help groups. British Intermediate Technology Development Group. Now you have in India there is one organization known as Akshay Patra, which is one of the largest organization in the world, Akshay Patra Foundation, which provides the largest midday meal to the poor children in the government schools across India in so many states. So it's a massive movement. So these innovative organizations, they have been coming up and they have been helping the poor in many ways. And if we take that Haritika organization, that is also an innovative organization because it is finding ways to improve the situation of farmers. Because if you see the most of the population, the farming population in our country is not financially very strong. So they need to have some kind of a support mechanism apart from the government support. There are not many schemes of Manrega, and NABARD is providing so many schemes. But then also they need a certain kind of support in the sense that they need to be made aware of certain possibilities to explore and to produce, because farming is one such sector where it is most dependent on the seasons, the variations in the environment, the climate. So if, for example, if there are no rains, then there is a problem. If it is more than expected rains, then there is a problem. So how to combat these issues so that they can produce substantial sum to earn a decent living. So these organizations, these innovative organizations, they are providing them in many innovative ways for them to work for the cause. For example, the watershed organizations, the water conservation organizations, they are developing innovative ways to conserve the water in the areas where the rainfall is quite less. So if you go to the northern part, if you go to certain parts of our country where the rainfall is quite less, there you require the concept of water conservation so that the farmers can use that water for irrigation purpose. So these are the innovative ways, these organizations, they are known as technical and innovation organizations, and they also come under the operational NGOs. Coming to the public service contractors, these are also operational organizations and they implement component of official programs. And this is done because they feel that their size and flexibility will help them perform the task more effectively than government departments. So they work as mediators, in fact, that is why they are known as contractors. So they are a link between the government and the masses. For example, CARE is an organization, and this organization provides education facilities, the health facilities, the welfare facilities to the underprivileged society. Then you have popular development agencies like Oxfam and Red Cross Society. These are the NGOs in the developed nations and they fund their counterparts in developing countries, and they concentrate on self-help, social development and grassroots democracy. So if you see Oxfam, if you see the other organizations, they help the organizations, small organizations in the developing nations like in Africa, and there are organizations working in India also. So they provide a certain kind of funds to them. So it is a mutual funding concept. So, this part we would be discussing in the next session, where we would be discussing the sources of financing. So, these are the popular development agencies who try to raise the level of local NGOs or national NGOs through different modes. Now, coming to another part, which is known as advocacy NGOs. This is the second type of NGOs, and many advocacy NGOs, they are based on political principles, and they work actively for the human rights, the social justice, and of course for the environmental movement. Now, Chipko Andolan is one of the major environmental movements happening, and there is an example of America's Development Foundation, ADF, which has been extensively working in countries like Africa, then in like Croatia, and they are providing NGOs with advocacy training, that is, they are building the capacity. It is such kind of NGOs are known as capacity building and training NGOs. So, ADF is a capacity building and training NGOs, which is providing assistance to the local NGOs or the national NGOs, and so that the citizen participation is increased and people can fight for their rights, people can work for their rights, and they have a democratic process to develop certain issues. So, such kind of NGOs, they are advocacy NGOs, and one of the NGOs in India is the Chipko Andolan. Chipko movement, which we see, you can just see here, is they exist primarily for education and lobbying, lobbying in any area. The transparency for checking corruption at the highest levels of the government or any sources who are providing the funds. And it is a kind of an organized activity on behalf of an individual or a community for pleading or arguing for the rights and privileges of the underprivileged. Now, Chipko movement, Narmada Bachao Andolan, the Greenpeace organization, the Harijan Sevak Samaj, Arya Samaj, the YMCA, etc. These are all the movements which have been happening under the umbrella of advocacy groups and networks. And for example, Chipko movement, this has been working since long for the rights of environment. In that case, they say that deforestation for creating a dam will lead to massive destruction of the human race. Narmada Bachao Andolan, again, it is related to saving the sea. By building the dam, you are just stopping the water, the free flow of the water. So, these kind of organizations, they are the advocacy groups and they work for the rights, and they create a kind of a movement where the government or the policy makers, they have to think again before implementing a certain plan which may or may not be beneficial for the human race. Now, to summarize the whole concept, we would say that NGOs are the organization which do take the initiatives and challenge. Of course, they are built on this concept of taking the initiative and fighting and combating the challenges. And there are many types of NGOs, they are ranging from health, education, rural development, agriculture, environmental issues, etc. But the broader scope, if we define it, is the operational and the advocacy NGOs, and most of the NGOs, they fall under both the categories. And overall, the NGOs, they address the issues which have been left unattended by either the government or they are not the priority of that particular region or the locality. So, NGOs basically are the organizations who work for the welfare and development of the underprivileged. Thank you so much.